My name is Peter Maguire. In 1997, I created and launched jazz clubs worldwide. The past year or so has been something of an existential crisis for the jazz scene worldwide. Upside or downside, it has, however, provided space and time for reflection. Jazz, My Life, is a non-sequential series of my own personal recollection and thoughts about my own lifelong immersion in the world of jazz. If you feel inclined to do so, please click on the subscribe button and the notification Saxman icon. The past year has been curious. It's been something of an existential crisis, not only for myself, but for most people on the global jazz scene. Our usual routines of gigs, jam sessions, meeting people, sharing a beer with musicians, eating out with other musicians, just came to a halt. And then you begin to realise what an important place jazz is in your life. This really got me thinking as to how I got into jazz. When I was a child, there was really no jazz in my house. I lived in the house of my grandparents, and my grandfather, in fact, was quite a well-known artist on the music halls, and in fact appeared in a couple of Royal Command performances, one at Buckingham Palace and one at Clarence House, at the beginning of the 20th century. He had a workshop underneath the house and used to sing all day long. He had a very strong tenor voice, in spite of the fact he was quite a small man. As a child, this could be quite confusing. He would sing songs, one in particular I remember, which was called I Dreamt I Dwelt in Marble Halls. As a child, the only hall I really knew was the passage when you opened the front door, and that was the hall. And I found it very difficult to imagine why anybody would want to live in a hall lined with marble. Of course, later on I realised, of course, the marble hall we were referring to was some stately mansion. There was quite a lot of light music on the radio. That at that time would be the home service, light classical music, and the odd kind of music show, and similar kind of stuff, but certainly no jazz as far as I'm aware. The first jazz record I've ever heard, or the jazz track that I ever heard, was at the local youth club, and this in fact was Chris Barber's band playing Bobby Shafto, and I remember being quite struck by this at the time without really it becoming anything of an epiphany. But it must have stuck somewhere. I went into the Air Force to an electronics training school in my mid-teens, and there was some music there again, and around the age of 11 I'd been given a tenor horn when I was at school, so I had some knowledge of brass instruments, and then moved on to euphonium. And when I was in the Air Force, there was a voluntary band, which is an extremely good way of getting out of onerous duties, so I joined, and in fact played everything from tenor horn, baritone horn, euphonium, and double E-flat bass. In fact, somewhere there's a photograph of me on the parade ground behind this extremely large instrument. The only thing you could see was my peak cap and my boots. Unfortunately, I don't actually have a copy of it. So we would play odd music sessions with other people there, but nothing that one could describe as being jazz. It was only when I was posted to RAF Tangmere, which was my first posting after I'd finished training, that I met other musicians, two in particular who were into skiffle in a rather big way. which was something I'd not really come across before. So I used to hang out with them. And then I don't really know why. Don't really know at all. Actually, I decided I would buy a valve trombone, and hence my tentative steps into the world of jazz.